Are data management architectures converging?
I think we're seeing all kinds of evidence of that at this conference right now. Yeah, that was one of the big things that we started promoting in October of last year. We launched a new framework, this technology called Impala. And Impala is basically an open source parallel query engine. But what was new about it, there's certainly been lots of query engines. What was new about it was the idea that you could just drop it on top of an existing Hadoop system. You could get interactive SQL, but apply it to this huge elastic pool of inexpensive storage. And in doing so, we're basically allowing people to merge different kinds of applications within the same environment. You can do batch MapReduce, or maybe something that appeals to a more technical user. And at the same time now, you can also do interactive SQL, which maybe appeals to more of a business analyst. But you can do it in situ on the same system and the same data, which is definitely a convergence of data management technologies.
In addition to that, I mean, what are some of the other topics that you're tracking these days?
Well, I think a big one, so Impala was one that we built ourselves, but a big one that we're doing more in conjunction with partners is around math. So people talk about data science, really a lot of times they're talking about is machine learning, statistics, predictive models. All of those involve the application of some form of math. Math is yet another way of working with data, and that's another thing that we're endeavoring to bring to the platform. This one we're doing more with partners. We're doing it more with companies like, whether it be SAS or Revolution Analytics or some new smaller startups that are building things just for the Hadoop platform. But now we're talking about a platform where we can do MapReduce, batch processing, we can do SQL, appeals to the business analyst, and we can do math. But again, doing it all in the same platform, all in the same system, all in the same data without replication. And that's a really powerful idea and something that wasn't really possible before Hadoop.
So expanding this a little bit, open source has already obviously played a huge role in the data space. What role do you see it playing in the years ahead?
I think it's been a huge contributor to the popularity of this technology. Hadoop is a great design and it had a lot of technical strengths, which is one of the reasons why it's taken off. But part of its strength has been the fact that it had this open source origin. It just propagated itself really readily. And when you think about the way that you previously used to acquire high-scale data management systems, you pretty much needed to have a large cabinet FedEx to you, right, at no small expense. So the difference in friction is changed dramatically, and I don't see that going away. If you look at the work we did with Impala, that was no small amount of R&D. That was about 2 years in the making, and a pretty sharp engineering team. And it wasn't a lot of debate that we were going to release that as open source. I think we've seen time and time again that open source wins. It's cheap to trial, it's cheap to own. And it's easy to extend, and it's easy to build an ecosystem around. And the ecosystem is something that's really important to us. Part of that's the open source ecosystem. It's around how do developers create libraries or extensions to an open source platform. But it's also about a commercial ecosystem, right? All these different applications and tools and solution providers. The fact that this software is open source, it makes it so much easier for them to embed it, to redistribute it, to extend it, and not have to sign a license agreement with Cloudera.
So last question for you. Companies are starting to build on top of your platform, is that correct?
About 550, I think, is last count.
When did you first have that notion that you had a platform at your disposal there? And how long did it take to kind of go from that idea to the actual execution of it?
I think that there's a lot of different ways in which we've borrowed from the history of other technology products that have come before us. We take our lessons from the database industry, also from the Linux industry, and in both cases, the platform effect was a key factor in determining who is the winning platform. It's the reason why Red Hat Linux has probably 80% or better market share in the enterprise. It's the reason why Oracle Database won the database wars. And so, I think we're a student of history, and we sort of knew it intellectually even before we saw the first examples. The big challenge was waiting to see whether or not there would be packaged applications. There's lots of tools, and we've worked really hard to bring ETL tools and BI tools and data science tools to the platform. But the question was, would there really be closed-loop packaged apps? And we're starting to see some great examples now. Applications that do customer experience management or cybersecurity. And I think this is another direction that Hadoop is going in, which is, again, net new compared to what was possible with analytic databases previously.
Great. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.